like I I was just thinking about I was looking at some other statistics for like different ethnicities and people who work as like writers in Hollywood and stuff like that.
I know writers are already always predominantly white
Yeah, and
and
I mean
male oriented.
I knew they were predominantly white just because like Hollywood in general is predominantly white, but I didn't know it was that big of a gap.
Oh,
It
yeah, it's
was
pretty
like a
big.
massive gap. Like writers in Hollywood there it was like 89% or 89 or 92% were
Oh,
white.
oh, damn, that's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, that was it was very bad. And I mean I specifically saw it because like writers in Hollywood, I feel like this was specifically for shows or like people who work consistently for different production companies.
hmm
They the Latino margin was 0.7%.
Yeah, it's really interesting because actually, like, you have. I think the most diversity usually happens on screen because everyone, like, people complained about it, and then you turn on Netflix or you turn on the TV, and if you start seeing more black and brown faces, Asians are not brown. What do we? I don't want to say yellow because that is offensive. I'm half Asian, so just saying. But like, I don't know what to say. But black and brown and Asian people, that are not black and brown. But yeah, you see more like representation on screen. But then I guess because the average consumer is not paying attention to what's happening beyond the screen. Like if you go to set, it's like all white people, and most people don't know that. So yeah, there's more representation on screen, but there's none of it behind the camera, and so virtually none of it. So it's just interesting because you have all of these like interesting stories being presented on screen, but who are they being written by? And they're being written by like white people, and like one token black person that they could go to for like, hey, I mean, how would you say this, stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
definitely. It's I mean it's really hard to evaluate. I feel like we learned a lot about this. Maya and me took a class last semester. It was called Black Life on Screen by a professor you did not like.
Personally did not like that class, but
But I mean, I personally learned a lot about that specifically because I mean, before coming to film school or before like, getting into college and just actually, getting in like dipping my toe into the industry in that way, I didn't realize I was also the average consumer. I was like, well, it looks to be like there is diversity on screen,
yeah.
but it is because people complained and just I mean, I didn't think like I thought like, well, if there was a black person on screen and it was representing something, some type of, black culture or something like that, my mind automatically assumed, somebody from the same cultural background wrote the story and or, was behind the scenes like directing it and all these things because there's a certain level of understanding you have to have with the story, not necessarily the exact same cultural experience, but at the same
hmm
time there has to be some overlap in order for you to be able to understand.